very good afternoon. Welcome to the Systemic Diversity and Inclusion Group, or SDIG, for this live event today, Thursday, the 20th of October, 2022. Dr. Nwoye, founder and president of SDIG, will be presenting two of three anticipated guests this afternoon. Ms. Latoya Smith, Dr. Flynn Busey, and in absentia, since she is currently at a conference, Dr. Tonya Amankwatia. Dr. Nwoye's topic this afternoon is innovative and creative thinkers share their work in the diversity and inclusion space. For those of you that are not yet familiar with Dr. Nwoye, he has served at various levels, from undergraduate to teaching doctoral students, and in various administrative positions, including as director of the Urban Education Program at the Center for Multicultural Education, at Illinois State. He is a professional development specialist and was an adjunct faculty member until recently accepting the position of president of the nonprofit organization Systemic Diversity and Inclusion Group. The first of Dr. Nwoye's guests this afternoon will be Dr. Flynn Busey. Described as a proactive change agent, Dr. Busey helps companies and governments and civil organizations to become more sustainable and resilient. He has a unique combination. He brings a unique combination of executive experience, consulting experience, and an educational background to deliver proven strategies to shift gears to the next level of performance. Miss Latoya Smith, and our apologies for the screen that will be updated in a few moments. Miss Latoya Smith, definitely not Smithy. She is founder and CEO of Anvea Feats nonprofit organization and 3S Tech. She is a service disabled veteran of the US Coast Guard. She's a New York native, wife, and mother to 4 boys. She leads the Anvea Feats nonprofit organization. If you'd like to click on your screen now, you'll be able to go straight to the page on their website that has all of their links. Anvea Feats is a nonprofit that advocates for and provides opportunities for visibility, growth, and employment to youth and persons with disabilities and marginalized communities. Dr. Amankwatia, who may not be able to join us this afternoon, has sent an audio file which we may be able to play a little bit later. Dr. Amankwatia is Assistant Vice Provost at the North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. She works with faculty, campus, community, and government partners to provide online and continuing education. Her personal leadership approach is to access inclusion and justice based on a biblical world view. So those are Dr. Nwoye's guests for today's event. And what I'd like to do now is hand you over to the president and the founder of SDIG, Dr. Joseph Nwoye to introduce his guests for the event this afternoon. So coming off of mute and handing over. Dr. Nwoye. Just like to ensure that you are off of mute. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Adam, thank you very much. Is Dr. Busi here yet?
Dr. Busey is yet to join us.
Okay, good. Okay, well, I want to welcome all of you first before I get our guests to chime in. First of all, I want to tell you about the purpose of our organization. You probably be following what is happening in Britain, where their prime minister had only ruled for 45 days. And it's fitting for us to be thinking as to how our world has become, what our world has become. We are at the time where corporate organizations are focusing on their shareholders' dividend, focusing on helping themselves, those of them that are able to handle power and share, distribute things the way they choose to. At the same time, social institutions and schools are not taken care of the way it should be taken care of. Economic division continue to expand. And whether these are intentional or unintentional, it requires adults to come up with ideas that could help to build a better society, a better world. We see the environment, how it's going. So SDIG is essentially an organization that is open to all kinds of ideas. It's a place where you feel comfortable regardless of your views to articulate that view with the hope that we could all learn from one another. We cherish engagement because through engagement, we raise awareness of things that we will otherwise not know. We create individuals and group learning through our posts, shared member stories, hosted webinars, and of course, discussions such as the one we're having today on global and national issues. We help people shape policies that actually address the issues, because without policies that shape all these things, we're not going to get anywhere. This is a professional engagement and network platform on LinkedIn, which brings people from various cultures, ethnicities, gender, sexual orientation, global location, and wherever you may be, including, of course, people with disabilities. Recently, they celebrated the founder of Me Too movement, and we are an organization that is open to engaging all. Human beings make mistakes here and there, but if we don't reflect and learn from those mistakes, we're not gonna do better. So it's my pleasure to bring our audience today, Dr. Busi and Latoya. These are people I respect in their various works. And this particular section has been framed in a particular way, rather than my giving you information about our guests. They've done so much and have achieved so much that I won't even attempt to start talking about them, because I may choose the one that fits into my narrative and leave others off. In light of that, we have a standing policy to have them introduce themselves, tell us what they do. So by virtue of sharing what they do, when the time for question and answer comes, then you'll be able to ask them questions that will help you in your endeavor. So with that, I would like to ask Lutea to introduce herself and use maybe 3 to 7 minutes that may please her, to tell us who she is, what she does, more importantly, how what she does has been helping in creating better education, economic improvement and empowerment, peace, equity, and social justice, not only in her village, but around the world. Latoya.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Nwoye. Hello, and thank you for having me. My name is Latoya Smith. I am the founder and owners of, at this point, Anvaya Feats, a nonprofit organization. We are an exempt 501c3 organization. I am also the founder and CEO of 3S Tech and Talent LLC out of the Ohio, USA, Greater Cleveland area. We have been in place, the concept and the mission has been in place since 2017. And I met Dr. Nwoye by actively reaching out to start working with the individuals with the quote, boots on the ground for moving the needle on the social changes that are necessary both locally and internationally. I'll start by sharing a little bit about the for-profit organization 3S Tech and Talent. Started in 2017 after I left a contract opportunity with the NASA Safety Center here in Ohio, wanting to develop an organization that I could be a part of that is living the mission that we promote. And with my experience in education, instructional design, I wanted to start tying that need to serve, something I also did in the military, with other marginalized communities who I saw often being overlooked in the business world. The journey started with looking at the government contract approach. Many people don't know that there are literally millions of government dollars set aside in the US every year for socioeconomically disadvantaged businesses, owners who are looking to expand and grow the economy of their local communities or for their particular group through government contract opportunities at the state, local, federal, and government levels. They fit into a category referred to as set aside. I learned about these by being part of the government community. However, there are many small business owners and entrepreneurs that could really improve their circumstances by enrolling and becoming part of these set aside categories. I decided that I wanted to help those communities and help those business owners move beyond their quote unquote side hustle or dead end approach with their business model and turn that into an opportunity for them to go after contracts that are specifically set aside for them. Over the 2 years, I just was frustrated with trying to get that effort up and off the ground because I realized many small business owners don't have the experience or the education to really tackle a federal request for proposals and submit something that would help them to win the contract. So my team and I decided to take a holistic approach to solving that problem. And our interns who are disadvantaged and those who come from marginalized communities and those with disabilities, they answered that call and it birthed the idea of a virtual internship program. What we started to do was to develop a solution starting with diversity, equity, and inclusion. And they developed a web application that works for disadvantaged business owners as well as disabled business owners, teaching them to build solutions, learn to build solutions that serve their community, but also the greater good. We've learned that developing assistive technology and accessible technology allows everyone to have a better experience. Our interns are learning by doing, but I didn't want to stop there. Fast forward 2 years and started to think of a concept for expanding beyond just business and technology to include the creative services, gaming, entertainment industries, places where representation is not really prevalent, and especially for those who are at the crossroads of an intersectionality with disabilities and being part of a marginalized community. Last year in January, started offering virtual internship opportunities to the disadvantaged and persons with disabilities, and moving beyond just giving them opportunities for doing what we consider to be the traditional approach of hospitality, janitorial, and labor, manual labor roles, in today's society. We wanted to give them an opportunity to help develop the technical solutions for their own communities. You have to do that by learning. So I developed a virtual internship program that allows all individuals, regardless of their background, language barriers, disabilities, and even academic backgrounds, can join, learn on the job, build their skill sets, build the hands-on experience necessary for them to increase their earning potential and to become part of the solution rather than only being part of the tail end of the development process. Sorry, I think someone's microphone is unmuted. Okay. What we took that concept and we transitioned that from a passion project for helping marginalized and disabled communities to developing a nonprofit organization, which is Anvaya Feeds. Anvaya is a Sanskrit term that actually translates to family. And we believe that we are part of a global family, and it will take all of us coming together in order to accomplish, to overcome, to achieve these feats in the real world. I won't get into the storyline of Anvaya Feats, the ebook series, but the story is definitely about individuals with different backgrounds and different barriers coming together to solve the problems that we see in the world today. All of the Anvaya Feats organizational projects surround the ideas of sustainable development goals. We focus on helping to end poverty by enabling our community with today's business and technical skill sets that will lead to independence and financial stability. Ensuring quality education by helping community members access free and low-cost educational resources for learners with disabilities and those with socioeconomic barriers. We also are helping to move the needle towards gender equality by elevating the voices of girls and women through social platforms and forums that welcome their stories and their contributions. We are contributing to good jobs and economic growth by offering internship opportunities that promote social entrepreneurship and business development. Promoting innovation and infrastructure for more accessibility in technology, gaming, business, and education. And then finally, developing strategic partnerships that ensure Anvaya Feeds succeeds in accomplishing these goals while shoring up the efforts undertaken to other like-minded organizations. I will also add that our internship opportunities are virtual and by nature are available to those beyond the US. We currently have interns in Zambia and Dubai, Sri Lanka, India, and South America, as well as the US. And we are looking to put pilot programs for how we are approaching internships into other organizations, educational entities, and eventually the commercial industry. Thank you, Dr. Nwoye. I think you're currently muted.
Thank you so much for the work you do on behalf of our global community. I think we need to replicate people like you around the world, because that might be the only way to overcome the continuous expanding problems, oftentimes with no solution. So thank you so much for that. Is Dr. Busi here?
Hello, Dr. Nwoye. This is Sedley in London. As per your studio message a moment ago, Dr. Busi has not yet been able to join us.
Okay.
And I do have the audio from Dr. Amankwatia whenever you're ready.
Well, can you please play that? Go ahead.
So Dr. Amankwatia is Assistant Vice Provost at the North Carolina Agricultural and State University. She wasn't able to be with us this afternoon, and so she has been kind enough to drop us a short 3 or 4 minute, 4-minute audio file that tells us all a little bit about herself and her work. So hopefully you'll be able to hear that in the course of the next few seconds. There's a short time delay, and there you go.
Good day, colleagues. I am Tanya Amankwatia, the Assistant Vice Provost of Distance Education and Extended Learning at North Carolina A&T State University in Greensboro, North Carolina. Some of you may recognize North Carolina A&T as the home of the Aggies, the largest public HBCU in the United States. I am unable to join you for this conversation of sharing ideas and work, but I know that it will be inspiring as we look at ways that we all help spread the circle wider to access in our various spheres. For me, online education and continuing education have been the sandboxes that I've played in professionally. Started in the community college, but have led in distance education, faculty development, continuing education for the past 13 years. So today, my only thought to leave with you is, from my experience, adult learners, no matter what age or stage, continue to develop. And I am excited about the work that we do, especially with continuing education, that provides opportunities for people to be who they are and to be that well. So personally, my biblical worldview comes into play as we design with our partners opportunities for access for everyone. So for example, the simple look at the surface of a matter, but the wise dig deeply. And that is something that you see coming up where people are trying to decenter theories or philosophies that aligns with that biblical proverb that I just shared with you. So, for example, any of our innovations that involve artificial intelligence, the wise who are concerned about justice and access will look at the training sets to make sure that they are inclusive. And then back to the comment about the adult learner in development, the idea of being merciful aligns with my worldview because people make mistakes. So as educators, the culture of virtue signaling and not giving people the room to develop, explore, discover, and learn is a missed opportunity, I think. And I am just so proud of my colleagues who recognize that there is room for inclusive, supportive dialogue. So those are the types of things that I am looking forward to and involved with right now. The use of technology to personalize and empower the learner experience, and having inclusive dialogues to support learners on their journey with grace and mercy toward reconciliation. Thank you and have a great conversation.
Handing you back to Dr. Nwoye, and hopefully we'll also be able to hear from Dr. Busi, his third guest, before the end of this session. In the meantime, in about 10 minutes' time, we'll open the floor for Q&A. So I'll just hand the floor back to Dr. Nwoye. Sir?
Thank you very much, Mr. Adam. It's unfortunate that some of our folks are unable to join us today. The provost is actually presenting in a major conference at this particular time, so she was unable to join us. But she has sent the message. I hope that you got the message. For me, I didn't even hear the message because I don't know, for some reasons. I didn't hear it, but I'm gonna be looking at it at a later time. And unfortunately, Dr. Busi, who is always very punctual in things, I'm not sure why he's not here yet, but I hope that he's okay, that there's no problem on that end. And now, having said that, I think we're gonna shift, because I think Latoya has provided us a lot of things to chew, and hopefully we'll be able to answer some of the questions that will help in each and every one of those that are here to climb on the second contour of higher learning, and utilizing what he or she may have learned, to do better in the world that needing more and more of us. So with that, I'm gonna ask Latoya to answer perhaps a couple of questions, and then I'm gonna transfer it to the audience so that you have the opportunity to ask her questions. Hopefully, Dr. Busi, who is always very punctual, I don't know why he's not here, but I'm gonna find out. Did they answer phone either? So something must be, but I hope he's all well. So, Latoya, my first question is, how do you do this? Because it seems like you have so many balls in the air, but I was more of, touched more by the extent to which you're extending your hands globally, especially with those who are disabled, that oftentimes you wonder, if things are difficult for people who are able to do things, can you imagine what it is for such individuals? And now, sometimes nobody cares, to be frank with you. And so the question is, how do you do it?
I will say that I do not have obsessive compulsive disorder. I actually am a big believer in project management basics. It's actually one of the core lessons that we pass on to our interns. I do believe that looking at challenges as a project will help us to address many of the objectives that we set for ourselves and the goals we have for our diverse organizations. We work virtually. We work on a project schedule, which means I can work with individuals in 11 different time zones without overextending myself, because we don't work the traditional Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. Our interns work within their time frames and their time zones with the time they have available. You've probably heard lots of chatter about flex schedules and what is really the productivity potential for individuals that are allowed to make their own schedules. This has been incredibly beneficial for members in our internship program, because they're not, rushing and panicked and stressed about a particular schedule, a particular start time or end time. We focus on task start dates, technical requirements, and milestones, rather than everyone having to be in their seats at the same time for the same conversation. We live in a virtual world where conversations are happening synchronously and asynchronously, and both can be just as productive if you have structures in place to achieve them. So when you say, how am I doing all of it? I still have free time. I still get to watch my shows on HBO and Netflix. It's just, there's a time and a place for everything. And by organizing that time and allowing others to choose to work in times that work best for them, we're able to do more with less. And what we're doing right now is, I hope we are setting an example of how you can do the right things for the right reasons and not necessarily suffer as a result.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we're gonna be trying to emulate your footsteps, because sometimes I feel like it's too much. Whether I have enough time to shoulder some responsibilities that keep coming my way. So we're gonna key into your style. Hopefully, get some improvement over there. All right. Now, what would you say is the most rewarding thing when you get to know people who are really disadvantaged, whether they are within this nation or outside the United States? What about them, and how does it? What kind of reward do you get, whether it's intrinsic or externally?
Um, I actually receive both. The intrinsic motivation goes, from 0 to 1,000 some days, because I'm working with individuals who, like you mentioned earlier, others have given up on or never even gave them a second thought. These are individuals that have so much potential, but no one's ever really asked them about what it is they are hoping to achieve. I work with interns and I don't ask them what jobs do they want. We start by asking, what will your purpose be? And when you identify a person, regardless of disadvantage or disability, these individuals have so much hope and so much promise, and they just need an environment and a means in order to make it, come true, to bring it all to fruition. So, working with our interns, we have one currently, actually two in Africa, and they come. One comes from humble means, the other one has a disability. But when they tell me, oh my gosh, this has already made an impact on my life, my home life, my career opportunities, that is the payback I receive, immediate gratification that I'm doing the right thing. In the long term, what the goal is for them to become ambassadors and for them to be a shining example of what's possible when you put the time and the effort. It doesn't always have to be lots of money, but putting the time and the effort into listening to how someone wants to contribute into the world and then provide them with the path to accomplish that is a big part of why I'm getting the rewards that I receive. And they're not monetary currently, but it's so rewarding to be able to make these things a possibility for individuals who otherwise would have never considered reaching and stretching for these goals. Extrinsic motivation definitely comes in the form of hearing from people like yourself or individuals in Fortune 500 corporations who say, my goodness, I never thought of doing it this way. Tell me more. Because again, that tells me that I'm on the right path because I'm focusing on developing a solution for a current need, not profits, not making widgets, not making a name for ourselves, actually helping to elevate others so that we can finally start achieving some of these goals we've set for ourselves as a planet.
Thank you so much. I'm going to try to put in one more question, then I'm going to send it to the audience. As we look at the global community we live in, we are bombarded with all kinds of problems. Some are created by people, some are created by ourselves, some are created by the companies we keep. Specifically, we are in a situation where those who drive the economy cater to the needs of their shareholders, cater to the needs of people who are at their debt levels. There's one representative in Britain whom I saw her discussion of issues. She said that she's now a parliamentarian, but she used to be. When she looked at how things are going, she thinks, my God, I'm a parliamentarian now. But these parliamentarians were people who enslaved my people. These are the people who kept me down. These are people who did this. Then she pivoted to talking about how those things are affecting everything. The haves and the have-nots. You see politicians like now, Liz, the Prime Minister of Britain just resigned because of economic decisions she may have taken, and people may not like it. As a result, the pressure mounted. That could be something that, if we're in certain situations, could be resolved, and then life goes on. Some people are not forgiving. Then you come to the United States. Now we see the politics. We see the liberal and conservatives reading materials from conservative writers, like New York, Wall Street Journal, conservative reading like Washington Times, watching Fox News, moving in one direction. On the other side, you see the liberals, Democrats, some people, if you want to label by parties, that are reading things like Washington Post, reading New York Times, watching NBC News, shaping their direction of thinking one in the other way. And that creates a big gulf. So as we do this thing, how are we going to be able to create a better society? How can we get a society where people could actually have a simple way to address issues? Former Senator of New York, Monahan, he said that you are entitled to your opinion, but not the truth, not the facts. But the fact is that we are living in an age where people circumvent facts, provided they meet their needs. And you can never live a better world without that. So my question is, although it's a long statement before the question, how do you work with people who may not share the same view with you to come to an amicable situation where both wins? Or that could be taken in every direction of our lives.
It is of extreme importance that we don't confuse opinions and perspectives with being human. And that is what we all share. Starting with looking at the individual as this is another human being who probably has a very long story of experiences that have shaped that perspective. But if we really get to the heart of the matter on many of these topics and we focus on the commonalities, what we both want to accomplish that is in alignment, we have to learn to think critically about how to see those similarities instead of being critical and only looking at what divides us. I grew up in New York City, so learning how to speak and work with individuals with different religions, different political views, different faiths was part of my growing up. And still today, people are just like, how can you work with those people? How can you speak with those people? How can you help those people? And the fact is, they are people. If we can all start to look beyond the aspects of what is the benefits to me for this decision, we start to humanize many of the problems and therefore the solutions so that we can find a common ground. Today, I'm able to work with and speak to so many different types of individuals, thinking outside the box about how to communicate with individuals in a way that will show them that I am willing and able to receive their message, regardless of how they want to deliver it, has made a huge difference. I have members of my team of our internship program, our collaborators, where English isn't even their first language. They may not have been comfortable previously with working with a minority woman in a position of leadership, and especially not a woman who will speak her mind. But by explaining to them that they have something to offer and that I am very willing to receive it and look at them as a subject matter expert of sorts, as explain to me why this is your perspective. Explain to me why this is your thought process so that I have a better understanding of how we can collaborate around a solution. Many people aren't willing to do that, but I think when you start to set an example, showing how it can be done without honestly giving up what you believe in and what your values are, I think we'll be much better for it. I have friends who are Republicans and independents and atheists and everything in between, but they know where my heart is and I know where theirs are, and that's why we can have productive conversations and even collaborate.
Wow. We should get you going around the world trying to change minds, hearts and minds. Some people talk about it, but really nothing substantive being done on that front. Okay, let's get to our guests, our participants here. If you have a questions, could you please either raise your hand or you go ahead and ask? Adam, if you want to check if there's anybody that has question, let us know. Okay, I see Robert raising his answer, rather his hand. Robert, go please.
Thank you. In regard to the support of disadvantaged people and people with disabilities, can you give an example of how your organization develops and supports people with invisible disabilities? A specific example, rather.
We do have those that have participated in our program who are neurodiverse, and those who, as long as people get into well, it's not really a disability if you can't see it, but at the end of the day, if it isn't a barrier to you getting to the point where you're living the life you want to lead, it is a disability. Those individuals, our program is tailored to every single intern. We have a structured approach that has a customizable execution or implementation. So, for example, our internship program focuses on onboarding. And what does that onboarding mean for that intern who has a particular career interest in a particular industry in a particular role? So they are internalizing and they are customizing how they want to navigate, how they want to develop the skill, the training, and the career path that meets with their desires, not necessarily of an organization. So I have an individual right now who is neurodiverse, and I also have in our current cohort individuals who are vision impaired. One is vision and hearing impaired, and the others are blind. They are all treated the same. They all receive the same benefits and they all receive the same access. However, I work with each of them individually to identify what their path, their accommodations, and their needs are as far as achieving their own personal goals. If we really start to look at each individual, their needs, and what it is they want to accomplish, anything becomes possible. We have had interns who are disadvantaged, those who recently, later in life came into their disabilities, and they have to learn to navigate that. So our program works with all of those individuals to first address their physical, mental, or emotional needs, and then getting into what it is they hope to accomplish, the career path, or maybe it's just personal growth that they want to achieve. As far as invisible disabilities, we have had over 30 participants in our program since January of last year. And of those, probably 6 have been individuals with what society might consider invisible disabilities. And I can say with pride that all of those who have completed the program have found gainful employment.
Oh, thank you so much. Let's go to...
we have another question here from Dr. Nwoye. We have another question from Nancy Bourdin, who has to leave in just a couple of moments, followed by Danielle. So Nancy, please, I think since you are very tight on time, if Dr. Nwoye is okay with that, would you like to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question, ma'am?
Hello, LaToya. I was interested in what you said about the importance of critical thinking for overcoming challenges and developing inclusion strategies. And I was wondering if you could give an example of how your organization has nurtured, developed, or applied critical thinking skills.
Yes, and thank you for being here today, Ms. Nancy. One of the, and I'll be very quick because I know you have to go, one example of us implementing that is with developing our web application, RFP Quick. My desire for that project was to level the playing field for disadvantaged and disabled business owners who want to get into government contracting and submit proposals for government grants. And the process is daunting. I literally have been brought to tears by that process. And I imagined for myself, what would it be like if I didn't have a master's degree and if I didn't have the previous experience of being in the government? What needs to happen in order to clear that path for others who haven't been as I don't consider myself privileged by any means. I grew up in the projects, but for those who didn't have the privileges that I did after I joined the military. What we also started to focus on was the individuals in our team who had these disadvantages. We started with critical thinking and inclusive thinking, having members of the team who are blind. Then before we start, we need to figure out how we're going to address that barrier. Our team members who are hearing impaired, how do we address any obstacles that they will encounter with using this product or our resources? Thinking like that helped us to develop in less than 6 months a web application that was accessible, that was inclusive, and that can be provided at a very low price to serve the communities that we all belong to. So our web application works with NVDA and JAWS and keyboard navigation, and we are currently developing support and training materials that are also video-based, text-based, so that individuals, regardless of what their diverse abilities are, can get the same experience. Critical thinking is thinking about what the opposition may say or return with before we decide to lay a path for how we will go about developing a solution.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. And Nancy, it's good to hear from you. Danielle, you're raising your hand. Could you come with your question, please?
Yeah, so thank you so much, Latoya, for your brilliant presentation. And I must say it's a great job, huge, supporting these young people, creating more opportunities for visibility for them. And so I wanted to find out, like, how do you onboard or recruit these persons with disabilities? And do you recruit everyone that comes to you? And how do they even connect with you? Like, is it online or through recommendation? How is the process being done? That's just it. Thanks.
Thank you, Danielle. I would say all of the above. Because I am dealing with audiences that aren't on social media. They may not use technology on a regular basis because of a disadvantaged access or accessibility. So you have to be open to the multiple channels of incoming so that you can receive those and respond accordingly. So I've received email recommendations. We do have an application link on our website. I post it on Facebook. I share it to Twitter. I share it on LinkedIn to reach as many as possible. Lately, I have really been focused on intentional networking by reaching out to those individuals who, quote unquote, have their boots on the ground and working to change the social impact the social impact for those who have disabilities and are disadvantaged. So that means workforce development counselors, vocational rehabilitation professionals, HR professionals, and those who have careers that are based in diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. So that's a long way of saying I will accept any way, any means of communicating with me. When it comes to the recruiting, we are working on fundraising efforts right now so that those who don't qualify for state-funded benefits can still be a part of this program. I really don't believe in free internships. I think everyone's time has value. So my mission right now is to make sure that every intern is paid for their time during the virtual internship program. In the interim, those that are currently in the States or are within a particular federal government program that will allow them to receive paid on-the-job training or vocational training, I'm working with them so that all of the time they spend working on professional and career development, they are compensated, and then they can move into the careers, which I do help them with identifying the careers, setting up their resume, and I recommend them for the jobs that they're going after. Those who fall out of that eligibility window or parameters, we are working to increase fundraising so that I can pay them directly through our nonprofit organization to be part of the program as well. So is everyone recruited? Unfortunately, no, because we are a nonprofit on the Ambaya Feeds internship opportunity. But we do make it our point to compensate anyone who is working with us in a way that shows that we appreciate the effort that they're putting in to both improve themselves and help to promote the projects that they're working on with us. We are receiving a lot more attention for the type of work we're doing, which I think will translate eventually into more funding so that we can sponsor individuals who can't receive state funding. Our interns in different countries, we work in advance to determine what the budget will be for the 2 to 3 month period to ensure that they are compensated for the duration of their project, regardless of the revenue that may be coming in during that time. So we always put the needs of the individual first, both emotional, physical, and financial, so that they can complete and achieve their goals without having that burden on them. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Latoya, and Daniel. Thank you for coming from Cameroon. We appreciate it. Adam, would you please put the link for Dr. Walker's presentation on Thursday so that people could copy the link if they don't have it, so that they could hear from them. I think it's going to be a very wonderful presentation. So I encourage you guys to go. And again, let's get back to Latoya for your phenomenal work. I really appreciate it. And I think we need more and more people like you. So with whatever speed you can, be replicating your work around the world, because it's needed more than anything one can even think about. So at this point, it seems like Adam is already prompting me that time is flying. So I would like to have Latoya, give us closing remarks as to where do we go from here? How could we continue to move in the direction she's moving to create a better world that will be in sync with our quest at SDIG for peace, equity, and social justice around the world?
Okay, that's a tough one. It really does come down to thinking about those who the least of us, their needs and how they can be successful. And if all of the ideas and the missions and the objectives start with identifying what we can do in some small way to make a better living experience for those individuals, I think we will be on the right path. If you were to think about the petroleum industry, pharmaceuticals, or fashion industry, when you really start thinking about the impact of your work, your product, your message on those who have the least, then you start to really grow a conscience and think about the changes you could make to eliminate the negative impact on those individuals. That simple approach would really change the minds and hearts of the individuals who have the decision-making power to make the bigger changes. So that is where I would start. That's the small things we can do as individuals to set an example so that others, replicate it. And I always say I'm hoping to make small positive ripples that, grow to impact. As they say, a butterfly's wings can create a tsunami in another region. If we could do that with positive ripples, imagine the impact of that with just small measures, how they could grow.
Thank you so much. Mr. Adam, do you have the link for Dr. Walker's presentation on the 24th?
Yes, indeed. That'll be coming up in just a few moments as you give your closing remarks.
All right. Well, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming. In spite of the difficulties, people may have, it seems like we all in sync with finding ways to navigate a problem world. So I want to thank you guys, and I want to thank particularly to Latoya for incredible work she does, and I hope that we continue to move in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nwoye.
So I guess that would be it bring us to the end of this session. And of course, if you have any question that you want to direct to either me or, Latoya is still going to be willing to respond to your question, then you can do that too. Otherwise, this would be the end of this session.
Thank you, Dr. Nwoye. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this afternoon. To thank Dr. Nwoye as a special guest, and also for the contributions that have been made, also in absentia. Hopefully you will all have found this both beneficial and helpful. In the meantime, just to allow everybody who is live at the moment, if you would like to go to the link on the following slide for Latoya, you will find that all of her links are there underneath that live link right there that you can see there in blue, outlined right there. There you go. And so anybody that is live at the moment, just go ahead and click on www.envirofeeds.org/links, and you'll go to the web page for EnviroFeeds that provides you with all of that information. And as requested also by Dr. Nwoye, on Monday, the 24th of October, one of our own, Dr. Karen Walker, will be presenting a session called Difficult Conversations in Everyday Situations. That's difficult conversations in everyday situations. So to find out what we are doing at any moment in time, you can go to www.systemicdiversity.us/brochure. As you can see on your screen, if you'd like to click on that and bookmark it by all means. And also here, you'll find for the next few moments some of the links for not only our live brochure, but also the Systemic Diversity Journal, our main website, systemicdiversity.org, our Facebook group, our LinkedIn group, and of course also our YouTube channel, where this event will also appear in the course of the next 4 or 5 days.